I've seen all of you. I would encourage you to come into my office anytime you want to, because I don't see you as much as I should, although I don't. I'm at all the large ensemble concerts, but they're different when you have an instrument in your hand or you're singing. It's just different, right? So come talk to me whenever you want to. I am Dr. Talbert. I'm the director of school of music. In a previous life, I was the coordinator of music ed here for 7 years. And before that, I was in another college in Kentucky for a few years. So, and before that, I taught public school, right? Which is what we're about to talk about a little bit. Couple things. This PowerPoint, these slides, have you ever heard of death by PowerPoint? Yeah, we're not doing that, right? So, there'll be some outlines on the slides. I'm not putting the words on the slides. So you listen, ask questions. The one thing in this world that doesn't bother me is awkward silence. Doesn't bother me one bit, right? So we'll talk, we'll interact. I was just sitting here like, I could not be at this table because I would be so distracted. This is, yeah, especially this time of year. So I'll tell you a little bit about what I did, and then we're gonna answer some questions, right? We're gonna talk, and I'm not gonna talk at you. We're gonna talk. This is all my experience, right? So. Like some of you probably, you have an idea of what you want to do when you graduate, right? I would not take that to the bank necessarily because it can change. A lot of people come to college and they think, well, God, I can't wait till I'm going to be a high school choir director, high school band director, high school orchestra director, right? And you may be, right? I was not, and I loved it. The groups of people that I love working with. I think 7th grade is the coolest grade ever because they're so awkward. I mean, it's so awkward. There's so much going on in their lives personally, right? They've met the love of their life in 3rd period, then they come to band in 4th period, and then tomorrow by 2nd period, they're not together anymore. That's pretty cool. I love old people. I love working with old people, like people over the age of 60 and 70. I love them, right? So, all that to say, what plan you have now may not be the case. I was an assistant director the first year out of college. And for 2 periods a day, I was at one school, and for 4 periods a day, I was at another school. And I was the assistant, right? So I was the number 2 at both of those places. The first school, I kid you not, pulled brass knuckles off of a kid. Kid took his clarinet thumb rest and made it a weapon with a clarinet, and I was watching as the clarinet was lodged in the head, right? And then I went to what I thought at the time was the ivory tower in the afternoon, right? So the first year out, I figured out what not to do real fast, right? Which is sometimes more important than figuring out what to do, right? Like I tell people, we'll talk about this at church, we'll talk about this whatever you want to talk about. You don't have to know everything that's right, you just have to know what's wrong. That's it. And you have to figure out what hill you're willing to die on. Everybody here band? Right? There's a few hills I'm going to die on. Sitting up and holding your horn correctly is a hill I'm going to die on every single time, right? Because it takes no talent to sit up in front of your chair and hold your horn correctly. It takes zero talent, right? The other hill I got a lot of hills, let's be honest. The other hill I'm going to die on is we're not moving until you make characteristic sounds, right? Like nobody wants to hear you play all your runs if you sound like a train wreck, right? So that's another hill. We can talk about hills that we're going to die on another night. But the posture one is one you should absolutely fight. All right, so then, here it is, probably May, April, no, it's probably not April, it's probably March. And Joyce was my principal. Joyce is about 112 years old. And Joyce came to me and she said, I got bad news, you're not going to be an assistant band director here next year because we need to start a theater department. Well, I was the last one hired, basically, so I'm the first one out. So I was pretty pissed. And then I got a phone call. In the same county. Now, I should put all this in perspective. I taught in North Carolina. My accent probably gives it away. Taught in North Carolina. There were 17 high schools in my county that I taught at. 17 high schools and about 109 schools total in the county. Right. So me finding another job in the county was not necessarily difficult, but at that point I didn't even really care. I needed a job. Right. Was I married? I was going to get married at the end of the year, right? So things kind of it's time to make sure things settle. So I got a phone call. I said, you need to come interview for this job. Okay, I'll come interview for this job. This job was a highly academically gifted middle school. Sounds killer, H-A-G, right, HAG. I was in the worst part of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, with the smartest kids. So, what does the makeup of those people look like? What does my student population look like? Think, say it.
Is it, okay, so you said it's in a bad part of town, right?
Smartest kids in the worst part of town.
So is it a lot of like economically poor, for lack of a better word,
All right.
very gifted?
Yeah, all right, so let's do this. If you hang out with Dr. Talbert long enough, you'll know this. Not that you did this. Just say what's in your brain, right? If you're gonna say it, let's screw it up in here so we don't screw it up out there. Just say it, right? It was awful. These kids didn't have a pot to piss in, but mom and dad would bring the highly academically gifted kids in their Lexus and their Rovers and their Mercedes and their, right? Oh, that's cool, right? So then I teach band. So what does band class look like? What's seventh grade band? Seventh grade band looks literally, seventh grade band had the district attorney's son, as the first chair trombone player. Had the percussion professor's son from the North Carolina School of the Arts as my first chair trumpet player. Had a surgeon's kid as a clarinet player. Had this incredible talent sitting beside people who came to school because they knew they were going to get 2 free meals a day. Who, when they left school, had no clue what was going to happen when they got home. Mom may have been working a job. Dad's in prison. A lot of kids would leave school that day, go home and take care of their younger siblings, like they're not even in school age siblings. And we're talking 12, 13-year-old kids doing this, right? Which is a totally different life than most of us have ever tried to live, right? So, the trick is, you gotta put them all in the same room, right? This is the part of the show that's pretty fascinating when I say it 15 years later. There were 900 kids in our school. Oh, and to put another wrinkle, we had a school that was, so we had this building was huge, highly academically gifted, so 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And then we had students that were mostly bedridden, so severe disabilities in the same building, right? So some of these kids are in beds. Some of them have just the stuff that we know about, right? Those disabilities that are pretty common. But some of them were severe, right? So all this in the same building. So we had 900 kids in the building. How many do you think were in band? 6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
Is it 50 of them?
450 of them.
Oh.
I had 1/2 of the school's population in my band program. Right? Sign me up every time for that. Right? Which is why tonight's conversation is on large school programs. I know your jaws have hit the ground. I had 450 kids in my band program. 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, that was it. Right? Not, right? It's my wife. 6th, 7th, and 8th grade band. Sorry. 6th, 7th, and 8th grade band. So why do kids want to join band? First of all, the best recruiter ever is having a bad choir. Just for the record. Go ahead. But why do kids want to join band?
You could say these gifted students know that music coincides with academics.
A lot of those parents were like, get your butt in class and then you're going to ride your horses after school. Right? What about the behavior of the kid? We'll call them neighborhood kids, right? Because they walk to school. What's the behavior like?
I mean, I would guess probably not great. If it was mine,
Sure.
I'm gonna guess not great. Or it could have been really good.
Why would it have been really good if you got something?
I don't know.
You think it was good or great, or not good?
I thought, well, okay, now I don't know.
Right.
Well, I mean, I feel like it would be either or.
Right?
Because those certain kids that like the academic ones, they want to act good, like they want to act right, but then a lot of those
Neighborhood
kids, They just want something to
just
beat
want
on like a drum.
It's more like a social aspect for
It's a
them.
social aspect. So what happens when you put the neighborhood kid right between two highly academically gifted kids?
It's just the act, right?
They act right, real fast, right? That part I had to figure out real fast. I did not start with 450 kids in the band. My first band when I got there had 3 oboes, 8 saxes, 3 flutes, I'm not joking, 3 trombones, this is 8th grade, flute, oboe, said 3 oboes, clarinet, 5 clarinets, 8 saxes, 3 trumpets, 2 trombones, and a few percussionists.
That's a crazy breakdown.
It was a crazy
3
breakdown.
oboes.
3 oboes.
That's a
So-
crazy breakdown.
So we put them on the back row immediately, right? Like that's just how we had to figure this thing out. I was at least smart enough to know who the smart people were in my county or in my area, right? I went to an incredibly high performing high school for band. Played the '96 Olympic Games. We would take 3 bands to the festival every year. 3 bands, one would go in grade 4, one would go in grade 5, one would go in grade 6. What is that equivalent to in Ohio? B, A, double A, yeah. Right, and it's that. So I would pick up the phone and be like, what am I doing? You have to come tell me, right? And I still talk to these people. No, that's my wife. She did not help me fix my band. But I would call people that I thought could hear grass grow, right? And I'm like, come fix this. Come fix my problems, right? But it was not, the musical problems were fine, right? I was smart enough to figure that out. It's the culture problems that were not a world I had lived in, right? But it totally coexists and they do well. They do really well. All right, so what are the positives? You tell me, what are the positives of teaching in a large program? Mm-hmm.
You'll have better funding, hopefully.
From where?
Maybe the administration, maybe the bigger boosters.
Yep, didn't get a dime from administration, but keep going. Yeah, it's fascinating. But I'll tell you how fundraising in that. Go.
Good community, because you have a lot of kids, a lot of parents, a lot of families, you got good community. Especially
Not
in
the
districts
physical
alone.
location.
No,
Right, just the
just
culture.
that's what I mean, like
Yeah,
the culture community.
Yeah, yes. What else? Large schools. What else would be positive about that?
There's always something, like somebody for them to look up to in the band.
Always somebody better than you. Always. Right? What else?
The facilities like in the school for band probably are, more than like one.
Sure. Generally speaking, I would say you're probably right. What are the positives of teaching in a highly academically gifted school?
You can push them, Frankie.
Push them. What else? Is there a rule on how fast you have to get through the red book in 6th grade? No, absolutely not, right? I can push them further, but I can also demand more. Right? We may not get through line 30 before Christmas, but by God, those 29 lines are going to be remarkable, right? I was a fundamental guy, still am. If my class was 50 minutes, you could guarantee 35 was going to be on fundamentals. But smart enough to where the students didn't know they were working on fundamentals, if that makes sense, right? I think it's some weird form of child abuse if you have kids work on music for more than 6 weeks. I think that's some weird form of child abuse. See marching bands. So we would work on fundamentals and then, we got a concert in 4 weeks. We got a concert in 3 weeks. Here's some music. Let's figure it out real quick. And they could, right, because of that. Okay, so we got some positive, highly academically gifted. Let's go to the reverse here. What are the negatives to teaching in a big program? Yeah.
It's like easier for students to get away with not playing and things like
And
that.
hide. Yep, what else? It's really good. You can slouch down. Back to the clarinet section, because there's 27 of them, right? Yeah. What are the negatives of teaching in a large school?
Maybe the opposite of that, it's hard for kids to like stand out.
Oh.
See it.
Yeah. What about the negatives of a highly academically gifted school?
They might not always be prioritizing band.
Do you know what this is hard to say about. Do you know the class that I fought with the most scheduling wise as my kids were going into 7th grade was Latin. That's the class I fought with. Miss Browder. She's still alive. Ms. Browder, and she was lovely, right? But the parents, my kids gotta be in Latin class. Why? It's dead. Go to Spanish class. Right? So, yeah, there's some positives, some negatives. So we're talking about fundraising. What's the positive of fundraising at a large school? Yeah. Shut up and fundraise. That's your job this week, is to go fundraise. I cannot stand fundraising. It's like my least favorite thing to do on this planet. Right? So I made a deal with every parent that walked in. Remember, this is a positive. Every parent. We can sell wrapping paper, we can sell cookies, we can sell fruit, or you could just write me a check for every child that you have in the band. Like your blood. You could write me a check for, wait for it, $25. That was it. $25. I say that's it. Remember, some of my kids didn't know where their next meal was coming from when they left. Right? Like I walk in the cafeteria and I see kids shoving food. We had this conversation when I used to teach music ed. It's a moral dilemma, not really though. Like when you walk into the cafeteria as a first year, second year teacher and you see kids shoving food in their pockets, do you go turn them in or not? You got them, that's a you thing. But I knew exactly who I was dealing with. Shove all those apples in your pocket. Couldn't care less, because I know you're gonna go home and not eat tonight. Right? So that was the thing, right? So, highly academically gifted, probably a little more resources. So when I would say, you want to sell wrapping paper, or do you want to give me $25? They would say, here's a check. And this is for 9 other people that can't afford it. Sweet, thanks for my $500 check, or whatever it was, right? Because there was, but I never had, when it all is said and done, I never had, how do you word this? However many kids times 25 was the minimum I had. Right? Everybody got accounted for somewhere. Right? Because most people aren't turds, generally speaking. Like if they know that, well, I can pay for yours, but you can't pay for yours, so I'll pay for y'all's, most people will do that. Right? And then it's really cool when they don't tell people they did that. That's the cool part. Because then there's some weird thing. So, what about negatives to large school fundraising? Is there one?
Everybody's fundraising all the, it's the same, and it's the same way in like really small schools, is that there's a season.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna be fundraising, you might be fundraising the same things,
Mhm.
nobody wants to pay for things multiple times, and especially if you're at a highly academically gifted school, and also in a low income area, you have too many fundraisers and you have to pick.
Yeah. Right? If I get one more freaking Girl Scout to my house this year, I don't know how many times a year they sell. I don't know how many chocolate covered somethings I bought this year. This one girl came and she was like, "Come on," I was like, "Just take $20. Like, I don't want anything. I just want you to leave. So just take this." And she was like, "What do you want to order?" And I was like, "Nothing. I have so much food. Nothing. Just take my $20. And I could hear her run to the car. "He gave me $20 and didn't want anything." And I was like, "Oh my God, I'll give you $100 if you never come back," right? So, but the negative is this, right? At the large school, I was also at a school where the band outperformed fundraising for them. Let me rephrase it. The band outperformed the entire school in fundraising. So when you have 450 out of 900, and the school has a fundraiser, and the band parents are like, "No, I've already given my money to the band." Yeah, so that got stopped, right? That was my first job. They were like, "You cannot fundraise anymore." And that's when I was like, "Oh, I'll figure this out. I'll just have them write checks," right? It's a lot more effective. It's remarkable how generous people are when they don't want to do something. It's the truth, right? It's the absolute truth. All right, so this is a you question. I want to hear it from you. You personally, you have to decide what you want to do. Is there positive in teaching in large school? Yes. Is there positive in teaching in a school? That I told you earlier, I was an assistant band director, two periods a day, and I went to another school. And I remember having to put 4 pieces of a clarinet together to make 1 clarinet for a kid. It's a whole different type of success, right? It's a whole other conversation too. That's a whole different type of success. So, how do you determine what you want to do? If you were to say right now, I want to teach middle school, high school, college, whatever it is, in what area, what would it be? promise we're not gonna hold you to this for the rest of your life. But what do you think, like right now, like dream job right now would be what?
A good cultured rural community.
Good? Mhm.
A very well connected
Mm.
rural community that sits in like the
Sure.
CRB class band range.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So
And
it'll be a smaller band?
Yeah, not like, I'm not thinking like 10 kids, I'll take 10 kids.
Sure, sure.
But I'm,
40, 50, you're happy.
40, 50 in a marching band with
Yeah.
front ensemble and color. And,
Oh, interesting.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm not even talking just in the band.
Sure.
But,
What else?
This isn't me exactly
Sure.
saying what I want to do, but it's just a comment. I feel like it's harder to go, like, let's say you graduate and then you get this like great gig. I feel like it's way harder to integrate yourself in a large program because they're like, I don't know who you are, and they grew with someone else.
That's right.
And if you get a small band and you help them grow, it makes you a lot more successful
Right.
in my opinion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What else? What's your dream job right now? That's really good. What's your dream job?
Like, I think my personal dream job would be less so to work with, regular ed kids, but to
Yeah.
work with kids with disabilities and other sorts of impairments. That's like my dream. But if I'm like, obviously you're gonna have to get
Sure.
a more mainstream job, so I would think like something that's very middle class.
Yeah.
Just run of the mill, maybe like in like the suburb of a big city.
That's cool. There was a girl, probably, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago, I asked this question. One of my undergrads, they were sitting here, said, what do you want to do? They were like, I want to teach in urban Columbus. And I was like, sweet. I couldn't do it. She could. Like, that was her thing. That was her thing. She didn't put up with anybody's crap. She didn't look like them. And it worked. You'll have no problem finding a job. Is it more social, emotional kind of disabilities or like physical?
But
Yes.
either or.
Good for you. Good for you. Go watch they do a, Tim Lonsenheiser, Dr. Tim, you don't know Dr. Tim, go look at Dr. Tim, Music for All. And they did a thing in India a few years back. Kid with, I don't remember what it was. It was a physical disability, if I'm not mistaken. And Tim stands there, Tim's great, right? Tim stands there and shakes hands with everybody that walks to the field. And there was this kid, they rewrote the snare part for, put him on front with a pit. And I say rewrote it, I'm talking like pow. Pow, right? They look over, mom is just weeping because they included the kid. It's freaking banned for the record. It's really not, it's banned. Like, I just had this conversation today. This is not, this is gonna piss me off. This is not, when a surgeon messes up, it's life or death. We're not there. Is it important? Of course. But it's not life or death important. So when it's like, oh my God, I cannot have this kid part. Oh, there's a school that I went to my first year here, and I went to the clinic, and they said, Dr. Talbert, ignore the kid in the back. He's got Asperger's.
That's horrible.
It's awful. And the guy was like, what's wrong? And I was like, what if that was your kid? Right? I have not been back to that school since. Right? It's just a fundamental, don't be a turd kind of thing. Good for you. Dream job, go. What else? Oh, we can talk about that too. In class. What else? What's your dream job?
I mean, I feel like if it was like right now,
Right now.
probably being an assistant band director, because I feel like no matter what, I couldn't be prepared for the band director position. Like, if I got thrown into it, I think I could do it, but I would much rather be gradually said to
Figure it
no.
out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reward and less risk. When a parent's are pissed, they're not coming at you. You're going to the band director. Or as we call it in Southeast Ohio, the head director. Right, so, right, what else? What's your dream job?
I mean, I would honestly just say a small school. I just enjoy it.
It fits you.
Yeah, just enjoying those.
See, that's your jam. What else? I think we have to know, part of it is knowing the limitations, right? I think small school, big school, personality-wise is a thing too. right? What's crazy is you graduate at 22 years old, and some of your kids are 4 years younger than you in high school. That may have been the reason I wanted to teach middle school. I don't know. I like the challenge. I remember sitting in an interview for the highly academically gifted gig. I remember sitting in an interview, and one of the feeders said, "What do you want these kids to know by the time they get to me?" And I sat for, I don't know, 20 seconds. I was 24. I was trying to figure out what I was going to say. And I was like, I'm not sure they can play all 12 major scales, but I guarantee you they'll be able to play 8. Right? Because I knew that was the district requirements. It's all district band, those are requirements. And then, so he said, you think you can play? I said, I think I can play. So about a year went on. And I didn't work with a guy, it was a high school. And we talked a lot. He came, and I said, I heard his band at a concert. Oh, God, your band sounds great. And I was like second year teacher, so what I was thinking was your band sounds great, but they didn't used to, so what happened? God, your band sounds great. And he said, all these freshmen are full of fundamentals. And I was like, check. And that's all I had to hear, to know that's what the right thing to do was, right? But you're 18, kids are 18, you're 22. It's a test to see if they know more than you. Right, have any of you heard about the interview pieces now where they want you to go teach a lesson? Yeah, right? I guarantee they want to know. Right, I don't know, I do now. At the time, you know, I have all these clarinets and somebody said, well, how do you finger this on a clarinet? And I didn't know. So I could have done one of two things. I could have lied, but every kid has a BS meter. Could have lied. I could have said, I don't know, but I promise you when you walk in here tomorrow, I'll know, right? Or the third option, which I chose more often than not, was to find the smartest clarinet player and say, can you show them how to finger that? And pray to God it was right? But now it's so easy. Now the phone, it's so easy to figure this out. But these kids want to know if you're smarter than them. They want to know if there's a BS meter. They want to know, it's hard, right? So does an introvert make it at 450 people in your band? I don't know. Maybe. They've not had one. Actually, they did have one, and he didn't make it. Right? They had two. So I don't know. If it's a personality thing, then maybe you want to teach them a small area. I'd say you think, right? How many of you are big on this, the location piece? Like, you know you want to teach, you said, yeah. How many of you are, let me rephrase that. How many of you are tied to a location right now of where you want, like city-wise? Yeah? Right, that's the thing, and I don't know personal lives. It gets trickier when you get attached, right? When I get a phone call for a job, and I talk and listen, the first conversation is with who? It's with my wife, to see if it's worth even looking at it, right? If you leave college and you're unattached, you got nothing holding you back, go get a job. Go get a job, right? But that's the thing you have to decide. Is there a certain population of students you want to teach? Is there a certain location you want to be in, right? What do you want to accomplish and what are your goals? Some people, and you can answer or not, right? Some people are very, I think the 110 is perhaps the most intrinsically motivated group of students I've ever seen, right? They just want to be good. They just want to be really good. Some people, I've been in a lot of band rooms where maybe you were one up and like you would see plaque after plaque on the wall and then a nail, because that's yours, right? And you're like, oh, no pressure. 47 superiors, now I gotta get another one, right? I tell you this now, and I can safely say this because I'm far enough away from public education. If I was a band director, I would not go to festivals for ratings anymore. I would go for comments only to prove a point. It's not about that, right? But maybe it is. Maybe it is for you. It's a personal philosophy. What's important to you? Is it putting 3 clarinet pieces together? Is it being in rural communities? Is it working with students with disabilities? Or is it superiors, right? How many of y'all have ever been to Midwest Band Clinic? Anybody ever been? It's up in Chicago. It's the largest band and orchestra clinic in the world. It's a terrible time, worst time of the year, right before Christmas. There's a lot of reasons, right? Christmas, flights, snow. It's a terrible time of year. And I remember the last time I went, this guy said, "Oh my God, I'm not joking." He gave this guy a hug. He said, "Guys, it's probably been 10 years since I've seen you. What are you playing a contest this year?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I think I'm done." Like, I clearly don't operate in this scene anymore, right? But that's a me thing. It doesn't have to be a you thing. You just have to decide what works for you, right? And then this is where the rubber kind of meets the road. How do you get wherever it is you want to go? This is the hard part, right? What do you do now to make sure you're successful? And what holds you back? What do you do now that makes you successful? And what holds you back? Anybody? Yeah.
I think just being in this class, the strict osmosis will set us apart for the interview.
It does. It's remarkable. Yeah, I'll come back to that. Go.
Just being generally kind to everybody, because you never know who's gonna influence your future. I feel like with connections and, yeah.
It's such a small world. The music world is so small, right? If you do a little degrees of separation, I had a research meeting today with somebody from the University of North Carolina, Greensboro, and somebody from Belmont University. And when we start talking, it's remarkable who we know. And we're just three people. We've done it a while, right? Like we've done it a while. But it's remarkable who everybody knows real fast. It's a small world. So when I taught music for one of our classes, we did mock interviews, but we did it with people that nobody knows. Right? I would go bring in a superintendent of a local school system. I'd bring in a principal from a local school system. I'd bring in some admin from somewhere, and I would divide the class up and say, go. And then the rule was, you're gonna do an interview. This is fascinating. You're gonna video your interview, but you don't have to show it to me when it's over. If you wanna sit down and talk about your interview, I'm happy to. And the only rule I had for the interviewer was to hand me a list at the end with your comments. And the number of times it would say, if I had a job today, I would hire them right now. That number was a lot greater than, we need to fix this problem, right? I think the osmosis thing, I think it's funny, the more you do this, right? It's funny, I had somebody finishing a doctorate recently, 6, 7 years ago, and they had a listening exam part of their doctorate. And this is not the world I live in anymore, right? But I listened to it for so long, I called my buddy and I was like, just let me see the exam. And I was like, I'm gonna bet you my house that I'll pass this. I was like, yeah, this is, you don't live in this world. And I knew every one of them. It's remarkable what comes back to you, just from being around it, right? You don't have to know what's right, you just have to know what's wrong, right? So let me ask you this is the vulnerable part. What holds you back now? Like currently, what holds you back? If anything. Yeah.
I think the biggest thing right now is time. I feel like there's not enough time to do everything I want to do to be successful. Maybe I don't have time to, hey, I can teach a private lessons. No, there's no time. We'll go do that. Or I don't know. Just I feel like it's a time thing.
Don't answer this out loud, or don't call anybody out. I'll get you. Do you have any of your peers that have plenty of time? Think about it. Like you're like, how do they have time to do all these things? I was that way. Right? What you got?
Probably just like, especially like, just how everybody is now. Like, I feel like it's a lot harder to like, just walk up to someone and just start talking. Cause like at OMEA, like I went to OMEA.
Yes.
And they tell you like, oh, making it at like the OU thing.
Hard.
And like, make connections and talk to everybody. You guys better be scoring band camps. And then you get in that room and you're like, I can't say a word to anyone.
It's funny, right? We're in Columbus next year, by the way. And that reception will be even larger because it's in Columbus, right? And every year I tell people, and nobody ever does it, all you have to do is come literally grab me by the suit jacket and I will take you to introduce you to whoever you want to talk to. All you have to do, right? All you have to do is, that's how I need you to talk to me and get me to talk to these people. That's all you gotta do, right? We can put you in those spots. I tell people all the time, I can get you to the interview, I just can't do the interview for you. Right? It's a big deal. What else holds you back? I think that's a real thing though, right? Like I don't know what that is now. I don't know if it's the rejection thing or if we don't know how to communicate because of COVID. I don't know what it is anymore. But that's a real thing. Yeah.
Like personal anxiety is about looking stupid and like feeling like you're walking in. It's like that's part of it too. Is like sometimes I get nervous and I'm very much I will grab onto something and say, here, you just walk with me. If you stand right next to me and talk, so you can back me up, so I don't look stupid in this conversation.
Sure.
Because even if I know fully what I'm talking about, I can know 1,000 times more than the other person.
Absolutely.
I don't
You're
want
gonna freeze.
I don't want to look stupid. I just don't
Right.
want to say something wrong or like get into a program and not know what I'm doing because of my previous backgrounds and like I should know this. I should be able to
Right.
call somebody. I can't.
Right.
Like that type of thing.
It does, I'm serious, I cannot preach this part enough. I learned what not to do, and that was so much more important than what to do. Right? But I also was smart enough to put myself around people who were, it's the same thing now, right? Your job, my job, right? I was in the provost office. My job is to surround myself with people who are smarter than me. It's the same thing when you're teaching. It's to go latch on. And the PD things are fine, whatever. The best professional development I had was after marching band rehearsals every day. 3 of us would go to the Mexican restaurant and just talk. And I was smart enough at 24 to shut up and listen. Right? I was so excited. I was so excited to bring people in to my band room. Brought my former high school band director. Brilliant man, he's graduate too. And I was so excited to play for him. And in North Carolina, you have to do a march in 2 pieces for your festival performance. We didn't make it past 8 measures of the march in 2 hours of rehearsal. It's as far as we made it. Because he was just ripping it up. Right? Is your skin tough enough to handle it? I don't know. Mine was. That's the way I'm built though, right? Like I'm wired to where we don't have enough time. We don't have enough time, so let's just get to it. Right? That's how it was when I had people come to my band room. But I think this is a real fear. This anxiety thing. We're so afraid of looking dumb. I will tell you, in a previous life when I was doing music ed, I would get emails all year long that say, the students that are coming out are so much more prepared than anywhere else. I have student teachers all year, every year. They're more prepared than anywhere else. That's all I need to know. Keep going the course, right? This is true, and I think this is probably what holds you back, is that one, right? The only hope you have is they had more drink tickets from Matt Talbert, and they don't remember you saying something dumb at the reception. That's a hope, right? But that's a real thing, right? And we go back to being kind because the world is small and the music world is smaller. It's hard to get that one back. It's hard to get that one back. I still struggle with that. I think it's stupid to hold a grudge with somebody like a student that's, 14 years old. Right? I think that's dumb. I think the rule I always tell people is give them a chance. Don't assume they're going to screw up. Let them screw up. Right? And then deal with it once they screw up. But don't assume the 13-year-old's going to screw up. Maybe they won't. Right? But you may be a rule follower. I'm a rule follower. Right? So, $1 million question. I could preach on quality of life every day, all day. Because it is absolutely the most important thing you do right now. It's the most important thing you'll do, the work-life balance piece. Is by far the most important thing you do when you leave here. Dr. Talbert, I'm gonna be married, I'm gonna have kids, I'm gonna have a dog. We're gonna have a successful marching band, that's great. That is great. At what cost? At what cost? Right? When you get bored, Jeremy Lane, guy I was talking about, I met with today. Jeremy and Scott Rush wrote a book probably 10 years ago, Quality of Life Habits. It's that habit series Scott Rush does. They wrote one called Quality of Life Habits of a Successful Band Director. It's in my office, come steal it. Ask me before you steal it. So come to my office and get that book. And it's not 8.5 by 11, it's it's probably this big. You'll sit down and read it in one night if your quality of life's any good. You'll sit down and read it in one night, right? It's always fascinating to me, probably said it to you on the first day of PL, it's always fascinating to me that students, the look I get when I tell them to leave this building, quit practicing and leave. You're the director of school of music. I know. So leave this building and quit practicing. Like there's so much life outside of the Linton Hall, right? We just don't. I was the same way in college, and I'll be completely frank. This was pretty crafty for me because my band was really good. So something had to suffer. I didn't have kids at the time, so who suffered?
Your wife did?
My wife, right? So now, things I do now. When I was offered the director job a couple years ago, told the dean, he offered me the job, and I said, great, sounds good. All right, I got some things now. What do you have? So I take my kids to school every day. I pick my kids up from school every day. I don't miss sporting events for my children, and I take vacation. And he was like, done. My contract, if you go read my contract right now, it says I'm to have 1 month away from Athens in the summer. Away from this building. Do I do it? Not all the time. I was on a cruise recently with my wife, and I bought the internet package because I'm an idiot. But it was to stay connected to this place. When I go on summer vacation with my wife and kids for 2 weeks, all the email goes away. Every bit of it goes away for 2 weeks. Right? Do I feel guilty for about 48 hours? I feel pretty guilty. Then I get over it pretty quickly. Right? Dean's secretary was messaging me on Teams right before I walked up here. I wrote her something. I said, why are you responding to me at 5:47? She said, I'm at homework. And then, of course, she said, why are you writing me at 5:47, right? Because I've got some stuff to do. We've got a concert tonight. It's all these things. I'm now the king of getting my time back. I'm the king of it. Like, I don't miss large ensemble concerts. So where am I making that time up? So I'm here tonight till what, 9:30? And then I have to speak at Pascal's thing tomorrow morning at 8:30, right? Probably won't be in this building before 8:30. Probably, I don't know, maybe I will, right? But at some point I will just not come to work. I'll get it back. It's hard. It's harder, believe it or not, in the summer when my kids aren't active at school, because I'm like, I love to work. Like I'm a workaholic. Bought a freaking internet package on a cruise ship so I could email. Right? What's your routine outside of Glidden? Does anybody do anything outside of Glidden? Oh, look in the mirror now. Does anybody do anything fun?
Right.
That's legal?
We have a
Legal?
watch conversation.
Watch
That's a
TV.
good one, yeah.
Me and I walk to Sonic like 3 times a week.
Yes. Do you get nerds in your slushies?
Well, no, because okay,
They
on the
have
line.
half off for just
Oh, that's
one.
right.
So it's $2 for a drink.
Yeah.
So whenever we get really stressed, we'll just walk over.
Yes. And how long does it take you?
Like 10 minutes.
10 minutes. But it's the best. Drew in my office, whole softball, performing arts Drew, we share a wall. My calendar will have times on it. We just, first of all, we used to hate the calendar. I don't know how it would function with that one. But it'll have times on it for me to get out of my building. Debbie McAdoo will say, have you left the office today? I've not. You need to leave the office today. And it's 20 minutes. Right? My former dean, when my phone would ring, it was my former dean, I would take my AirPods, put them in, and start walking. Because I knew it was going to be a 30-minute conversation. But it makes all the difference in the world getting out of this building. What else do you do for fun? TV, yes. Sonic, what else are we doing for fun?
The grocery store.
Yeah, isn't that remarkable?
I love the grocery store, and I love going to the grocery store with other people and helping them buy things and helping them find
With their money?
sales.
Yeah, I love a sale.
I love a
And a
sale.
coupon, I love a coupon.
Mhm.
What else? What else do you do that's not music related? We got a problem, y'all. What do you not music related.
Cat.
Play with your cat. Your cat with Chocolate Lab, she's fine.
Oh,
to
wait,
play
my
with.
cat is visually. Her name's Bebop.
What do you do that's not musical? How many of you don't do anything that's not musical?
I was gonna say.
What do you do that's not musical? Play a different instrument does not count. Can you think of anything? I just finished watching Dexter. He's my favorite serial killer.
That's a good show.
It's a great show. So what do you do? I mean, there's seriously none of y'all do anything else?
We just made clay trinket trays. I just made it like we saw on TikTok, and we
Right.
got there dry clay, and we made trinket trays, and we're gonna keep making trinket trays.
See? What else? Sonic, what else?
Yeah, we'll work at cafes, like the cafes
Yeah, we
here.
work at the cafes.
Which has nothing to do with music. See the goal here? You gotta get away from it. You absolutely have to get away from it. Nothing will aggravate you more than 3 weeks from now, and everybody's in the practice rooms practicing for the jury that they could have practiced for the last 14 weeks. Right? So if they've done what they're supposed to do for 14 weeks, then you can go to Sonic and not feel guilty and watch TV and play with Bebop and go to the grocery store and spend somebody else's money and not feel guilty about it. Right? This is a problem though. This is a major problem. And the people, burnout is a real thing. We'll do a lecture on burnout. Burnout is a real thing. Right? There's research that indicates if you make it in the profession 5 years, you're gonna make it. There's a lot of people that don't make it 5 years because this sucks. They have no quality of life. Or if they do, it just sucks. Right? So find something that's fun for you. Find something that has nothing to do, watch this. How many of you date somebody that's a musician? You can't get away? You should go break up with all of them right now. I'm just kidding. My wife played the flute, but was in elementary ed major. And I didn't really, I knew about her, but I didn't really meet her till grad school. But now it's difficult, right? It's difficult for me. When I get home tonight at 9:30, the first thing out of her mouth will be, how was your day? Right? And I have one of two options. I can unload, which I would sometimes have to, or I can just be like, it was great. And lie through my teeth and move on. And then I ask the same thing. But that's the thing, right? Like, when you have kids, you'll have this. When you go out to dinner with your wife after you have kids, and you realize you're talking about the kids at dinner. This sucks. Only thing is it's cheaper. Maybe not, because you probably started drinking, right? Like, that's the difference. Right? So you gotta find an outlet, right? And I cannot stress to you enough, the weather, I think it's gonna rain for like the next 6 weeks now. Get out of Glidden and just go for a walk. Put your horn in the locker and go for a walk, right? And don't do anything musical, right? Everybody asks me, they're walking to my house, what are you listening to? I don't know, gospel love? I know what it's not. I can guarantee you what you're not gonna listen to in my office, right? Nothing through, I will go to concerts, it's great. And then when Drew tells me Dylan Scott, the country artist, is coming to Memphis, I'll have my President Road tickets and let's go to that show. Right? That's the stuff that I want to do. I want to do something that's not. The cruise had nothing to do with music. Right? My summer vacation, hopefully will have nothing to do with music. Right? But you have to make that. And then this. Right? So where are you going to be in 5 years? Like, that's where this comes back to. This and this should line up. Right? What are you doing now to make sure you're successful and where you're going to be in 5 years? It's a lot of questions, right? It's a lot of questions. It's a lot of, you know, I think we do college students a disservice by, you know, oh, you're 18, what are you going to do? I don't know, I'm 18. I can just now vote. Why do I have to decide what I want to do for the rest of my life? Right? So, what's on your brain?
I've been thinking it since you were talking about your
Yeah.
personal philosophy.
Yeah.
Just your personal and what like you and your wife have discussed.
Yeah.
What is the longest distance you would consider driving into a district? Or do you say, I need to be living in the district that I'm
Sure.
working in?
So it's tricky. I just had this conversation today too. I think it's important to live in the community. When I was working on my PhD, I lived 25 minutes away from campus because that 25 minutes on the way to campus got me jacked up, and then 25 minutes on the way home let me decompress before I walked into my wife and kid. What's the downside of living in a small community?
Everybody knows everybody.
Everybody knows everybody. And you love going to the grocery store. Okay? There's nothing in your contract that says you can't drink a beer after work. But when you have a 12-pack in your shopping cart, or as I call it, a buggy, right? If you have a 12-pack in your shopping cart in a small town, and you run into somebody in the grocery store, what's the first thing they do? Oh great, now my band director's drunk. No, it's not that. That's hard. I'm a fan of, I probably wouldn't drive more than 30 minutes to work unless I had to. I drive 9 now. I don't really have a choice, but I drive 9 now.
My horror story is when I started teaching, I was living here and I drove an hour and a half one way.
Okay.
Don't do that.
Oh yeah.
Less than an hour.
It's awful.
Uh-huh.
Right? It's cool to be plugged into your community.
Mhm.
It's also cool to disconnect from those people. Quality of life, it's right there. Right?
Yeah.
Because when you run into them at Kroger, now you're having a conversation about it, and you've been around it all day. Like the arguments in my house right now stem around my wife saying, I've heard arguments from 3rd graders all day. Quit arguing. That's our arguments in our house right now. And she's away from it. She drives 45 minutes, and it's the best thing she could ever do. She drives 45 minutes one way to work. And it's great. For a lot of reasons, it's great. I think it's a personal thing for you. I think it's cool to have you go 30 minutes away from your community and have a whole group of friends that have nothing to do with your school system, who have nothing to do with music, who love to go play trivia or whatever. That's fun, if that's your jam, right? It's hard getting attached to people at schools because they leave, right? And then you're like, crap, I don't have any friends anymore. So if you can find one that's not attached to your program, not connected to your program, I think that's a good thing. Yeah, do it.
This kind of, it's just like a side hit, like
Yeah.
the Kroger thing you're talking about. Literally, I remember in 6th grade, me and my mom were at Kroger, and I saw a math teacher, a 6th grade math teacher, and she had a bottle of wine, and to me, I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
because you don't view them as real people
That's
at that
exactly-
age.
They're not real people. Oh my God, she gets groceries. Right? I said I went to the Mexican restaurant. What do you think was on the table when they saw us in the parking lot? What do you think they put on our tables? Every day, they would put 3 tall ones right on the table. And then the band parents would walk in and never said a word to us. So trying to fix your freaking kids, right? We started the school, we opened the high school, looked like an airport, it was amazing. First game, they're gonna stop the game, marching band, right? They're gonna do the kickoff, whistle, dead ball, stop the game, present the game ball, the other team ran the football back. First kick of the school, the other team ran the whole thing back, right? That first year we got there, who's trumpet players? Clarinet players? God, none of y'all play God's instrument. Okay, so, but I remember we sat in rehearsal and we went, oh my God, none of these kids can play a 3rd space C on trumpet. Or at least not sound good. That's a hill we're gonna die on, right? So for the entire football season, we had a marching band. And we blocked them, we'd walk 8 steps and we'd sit there. And our 2 rules were the national anthem and the alma mater were gonna do the best things we played all night. We'd spend a lot of time on the national anthem and the alma mater. So this went on, we had how many home games? The last home game, we were like, let's just see what happens. So we had the band, they walked up, they did their block, they went up 8, drum break, back 8, drum break, the entire crowd went nuts. There were 16 steps. And I don't know if it was because they actually moved or if they sounded good, right? That's what all those professional developments were at the Mexican restaurant. How do we make these kids sound good? Because nobody wants to be a part of something that sucks. Ever. I don't care what level you're at. Nobody wants to be a part of something that sucks. Right? What else you got? One more. Are you going to make it to the end of the semester?
Lydia's got one.
Yes, go ahead.
Is there anything that you wish that you did in college before?
We are grateful these were not around. What? Is there anything I wish I did? What?
like in college, like to help you with your music ed, but like you were graduating?
Yeah, absolutely. I would have, looking back, my quality of life was pretty good. I was very routine. I was a practice room junkie. Every day had the same routine. Dinner, practice, dinner, practice, dinner, practice, right? And then about 10:30 or 11, which was stupid, we'd stop and then go do whatever else we were gonna do. But we wouldn't deviate from that until the work was done, right? If I could do it again, there's two things I would do differently. I would not be in a practice room less. I would be more intentional in my practice room, right? I was always a fan of getting my butt kicked. So like when I was 18 as a freshman, I wanted to play with seniors and grad students. And I'd go play duets till midnight or 1. And I remember one kid said to me, let's play this in a different key. And I was like, what? We're gonna do what? So they did it, and then I didn't leave that night. I never left the practice room because I was like, oh, wait till tomorrow night. Now I know how to do this, I'm gonna figure it out.
What's your primary?
Trumpet, right? So I just slept in the school music to figure it out. And then I just whipped their rear ends the next night. It was awesome. The other thing I would do is I would get out of my bubble. I went to Appalachian State. I would get out of my bubble. We are in a weird bubble. Not we as in Athens, but music majors are in a weird bubble. All of my best friends in this world are music majors. And I probably have 3 now. And only one of them is a music person. All the others quit band, one got arrested. It was a thing. But I would probably get out of my bubble. Actually there's 3. I would have a different friend group. I would have an expanded friend group. And then the third thing, I would go watch band directors that I didn't know. And it's so easy now. It's so easy now. Right? Zoom was not a thing when I was in college. Zoom a master teacher from another state and just watch what they did. Before Zoom was crap because of COVID, we would sit down in the music ed room and I'd Zoom in a master teacher, Skype. I'd Skype in a master teacher down in Florida or Texas and we'd hit mute and just talk through their whole lesson about what they were doing. I would do a lot more of that. That's it though. I would probably be more intentional with my routine stuff. I would expand my circle of friends to include non-musicians, which is hard because they don't understand our life. What do you mean you have 12 classes and 19 credits? They don't understand that. And then I would watch a lot more people teach. Yeah.
I don't know if you're anything. This isn't, okay. How do you make connections outside of this? I'm not like, without not being in college, like when you get into the professional world, how do you make connections that aren't within your bubble? Like how do you go about making connections that are not
in my bubble? I used to love conferences. I'm the worst conference attendee ever now. I used to love them, right? Because I could not get enough, right? So I would go sit in a session, and this is what I was listening maybe, and I was just doing this, right? And then I would just, it's a tough first step. What'd you think about that? Right? And about 7 seconds later, I knew if our philosophies were gonna align. And then I was in their back pocket for the rest of the day, right? And then I had another contact. I had this. Conferences were big for me. I leaned on my professors a lot. My trumpet teacher at the time, he would say, what are you doing? I'm going home for the summer. I need you to go see these people. I don't know these people. Tell them I sent you. Okay. So I'm showing up to their school going, apparently so-and-so sent me and I need to see you. Which was code word for sit your butt in the back of the room and learn something. But then I had a connection, I had a mentor after that. I need somebody in my life that's honest with me. No matter what it sounds like, that's what I needed. So I was very intentional about where I would go find people. I would not go find people, this is gonna be really bad. I wanted to find very successful people who did my job. Surround yourself with people that are smarter. I wanted to go find those people, and then I just latched onto them as hard as I could. That's why today's conversation with UNCG and Belmont was happening, because I did that. That's why all the professional connections I have is the same reason, right? That's hard though. That may be the hardest thing. Hey, Dr. Talbert loves most of you. I would tell you, come see me. Just come see me. Right, come talk to me. Let's give you coffee. let's kind of talk about where you are, what you want to do. Let's do it, okay? Questions, concerns? You have a call time?
Yeah.
It's time to go.